Hey guys, happy President's Day. If you're watching this from the US, I don't get too many people who are watching it from other countries, but you never know. It's happened. Looks like I just woke up, but I really didn't. I've been up all day. Um, so it's Monday, President's Day. What is it, the 18th? Um, so my daughter didn't have school today, so she was at home with me, along with my son. So I got a little bit of work done, listing on eBay, and that was it really. Taking some photos, listing on eBay. Took a bunch of other photos. I have some other stuff over here I need to list. This week is, aside from hitting up some thrift stores, I'm gonna do a lot of eBay stuff to kind of get through some boxes of stuff that I have, and over the next week or so to see how much I can. I have basically like three more boxes to go in my storage unit. That's mostly, if not all, CDs to list on eBay, and I'll probably go through that as well. But anyway, that's not what I called this video. What did I call this video? I already forgot. I think it was how to boost your sales, your Amazon sales. Um, let's see. Oops. Um, and I when it comes to the reason I was going to talk about this is because I was looking at my Amazon sales, both merchant fulfilled and FBA. And as of today, it's 4:45 p.m. here where I am. And as of today, I've only had four sales. Yesterday, I only had three sales. However, on Saturday, I had nine sales. So today I had four sales for $40. Yesterday, I had three sales for $31, almost 32. Saturday, I had nine sales for $92. And then on Friday, I had 12 sales for $116. So that's I'm hovering around either above or just below around $10, the average sale price. And of course, that is both merchant fulfilled and FBA. My FBA sales, I don't usually have very many of them below, not too many below, like for CDs, below like $9. But of course, merchant fulfilled sales sometimes will only be like $5 or $6 for the lower price stuff. But my sales have been sort of a little bit like all over the place this month. And then I started looking because often what I think is a good idea is don't get, even though it's almost impossible, but don't get caught up in just the sales you had for one day or for yesterday, but look at the last week, the last month, compare it to the previous week, compare it to the previous month, even compare it to a year ago. That's the cool thing about the sales dashboard on Amazon Seller Central is if it shows you your sales snapshot. And today I have four sales, but then on the bottom there it says today, and then it showed what I did yesterday, and then the same day last week, and then it shows the same day last year. So I can see that I'm definitely not doing what I did last year. A year ago today, I had 19 sales for $216. And when I saw that, I took a look, comparing the whole month, and I did way more sales a year ago. But the reason is because I had a larger inventory and had shipped in more items. So it makes sense that I would have more sales. And I believe I had more books as well. So I was taking more advantage of back to school, even though it kind of peters out in the beginning of February. But nonetheless, I did a lot better. I don't know exactly how big my inventory was compared to where it is now. My FBA inventory is, let me see real quick, is 923 right now active. And then my merchant fulfilled is 435. That number 923 actually jumped up. It was about 108 or so less because on Friday, two shipments to two separate warehouses for a total of 108 items were delivered, and I presume that's why I had 2 good days of higher sales on Friday and Saturday. And then I presume that the sales trickled off on Sunday because it's Sunday, but also it's President's Day weekend, and then today is President's Day. So a lot of people are, I assume, taking time off, traveling, whatever. So maybe they're not, or just, not going to work and not buying stuff on Amazon. But at any rate, that was probably, kind of some of the reasons for that. That some of that stuff that hit right away, it sold immediately. We'll see as the week progresses. I have about 56 other items to 4 different warehouses that are going to be delivered hopefully this week, and then that'll be it for my shipments. A bunch of those are books that I shipped out later last week, so I'm gonna try to get another shipment together this week, just from thrift stores. See if I can get enough together. But in the meantime, I'll do eBay. But yeah, so it's compared to last year. So February so far, as of the 18th of as of today, as of the 18th, I have sold 100. I've made 123 sales. So FBA merchant fulfilled. Now, what I did in all of February of 2018 was 320 sales. Of course, that was the entire month, but this so a lot more. So basically, by the end of this month, it'll probably be close, maybe double what I did last time. So, guys watching this in the future, there's nobody watching now, 6 minutes in. I had a couple people and they all left. So, unfortunately, not too many people are watching today, probably because it's President's Day. But that's okay. I wanted to make you guys a video anyway. So, thank you for everybody that's watching this in the future or not live. So 123 sales as of today, and then a year ago 320 sales. But again, I had a lot more inventory in. And then in January, so last month, I did 199 sales, and the previous year I did 308 sales. So big difference as well. So the point of the video, or the title of the video, is how to boost your Amazon sales, or improve it or increase it. And for me, when I look at the numbers, I know that number one, my inventory is not as big, and I have not been sending in as many shipments consistently. So I'm just now getting back into sending shipments in consistently for the new year, but that only started in the end of January. And since then, I've been pretty consistent about shipments, at least getting a shipment in every 2 weeks or so, if not every 10 days. I have to order more Gaylord so that I can get those bigger shipments in of CDs and whatnot. Mostly CDs. Because, thrift stores I don't find nearly as much. Again, guys, just me here talking to myself. Somebody came and left. That's really weird. They gave me a thumbs up and then it left. So I look at my size of my inventory, but then how do you get a bigger FBA and or merchant fulfilled inventory? Well, you have to have consistent shipments, or you have to list consistently. So, it's kind of a no-brainer to a certain extent, but, sometimes people wonder why their sales are not as strong as they would like. And it's not just a bigger inventory, but it's consistent shipments. So that eventually leads to a bigger inventory, but the more shipments you send in more often, more likely that you're going to see an increase in sales, because when those shipments hit, usually there's a certain percentage of those items that are just immediately sold. So it could be 5, 10% of those, whatever. Whatever it is for yourself, it's going to vary from from seller to seller, basically. So those shipments, help you immediately get some sales, and it grows your inventory. And the way FBA basically works is the inventory you sent. When a fresh shipment hits a warehouse of, say, like 100 items, there's let's say 10 or 15 will sell within 24 to 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, a couple days. and then the rest will start to sell slowly. Like some will take a certain percentage will sell within the first week, then a smaller percentage within the first 2 weeks, and then within the first month, etc. By the time you're a month in with those 100 items, maybe you've sold 25 of them or so, and then the other 75 are going to slowly sell. But then over time, that'll add to your sales. So 6 months in, out of those 100 items, hopefully you've sold, I would hope you'd sold like 70-75% of them. And the rest of them either are not going to sell or you're going to have to drop the prices. Not going to sell, so you're going to have to get rid of them or sell the prices, drop the prices. So, that's typically what happens. Depends on how long you want to keep your items there. So of course, larger inventory, consistent shipments are really important. Excuse me. Keeping a habit. I went through times years back where I would always get a shipment out every week, and when I was doing when I first got into bulk, and then when I was doing a lot of thrift stores, a lot of garage sales every weekend, estate sales, going to library book sales, that type of stuff. I was trying to get out shipments every week, and this was before all the split shipments started happening. So it was a lot easier for me to get out 30, 40 books just in one box every week. And then that adds up. You'd be surprised. I got up to 2,700 items in my inventory. As of now, knowing what I know and the experience I have when it comes to sourcing, and my inventory is better than it was 2, 3 years ago. I know if I have 2,700 items in inventory, I'm going to be selling a ton more. My sell-through rate should be better, and I should be selling a lot more. So that's my other tip, or what I think of is better quality inventory. So if you're relatively new, it's going to take time. You're going to have to source a lot. You're going to have to scan thousands of books, CDs, whatever you're selling, records, DVDs, whatever it may be, and just find out what makes sense for or what are the best items to sell. And your phone, your scanning app is only going to tell you so much. A big part of it is going through the cycle of sourcing it, so scanning it, taking it home, listing it, shipping it in, and then waiting to see what sells and what doesn't. And once you've done that for, I would say, 3 to 6 months, then you get much better at knowing, what's going to sell and what's not, because you can look at items. So an item you sent in 3 to 4 months ago that sold, and then you find, the same thing, of course, or a similar type of item, you're gonna have a better idea of whether that's gonna sell or not versus something that didn't sell. Of course, repricing is another thing that can boost or increase your sales, your Amazon sales. A lot of people have repricers and set it to reprice daily, hourly, that type of thing, and rely on that. If you don't have a repricer, then you can go in there manually and reprice. The Seller Central has it set up to where you can pretty quickly go through there and reprice just by looking at if you're the lowest price or not, the lowest FBA, and you could probably reprice a couple hundred items in less than an hour, depending on how deep of a dive you're doing into each item. If you're just looking to see if you're the lowest and then just hitting match, you can go, really fast, versus clicking on it to see where the prices are and all that kind of stuff. But regardless, within an hour, hour and a half, you should be able to get through hundreds of items to reprice if you're not using a repricer or don't want to use a repricer. So those are basically four ways that I look at it. Especially looking at my numbers over the last couple weeks, this month and the previous month, just seeing how my sales were better a year ago, which is a big reason why I've recommitted to Amazon to improve or increase my inventory, because I want to probably get it up to around 2,000 or so. And it's not really as important to me to get it to 2,000. It's more important to have a lot more shipments going in, because it will eventually, my inventory is now up to 923 as of today. Yeah. Hey, Robert. Pricing is where many lose sales. Yes, I agree. But I know that the more consistent I am with shipments, the more sales I'm going to get. Things will hit the warehouse and sell right away, and some will take longer, and you have to reprice them, etc. I agree. I mean, yeah. So pricing is huge. Um, well, yeah. I mean, if we could have 100% sell through rate every month of everything new that hit the warehouse, it'd be great. You send in 1,000 items, 100 items, um, and all of them sell within 30 days. I mean, that's more of something that's like, retail arbitrage or that type of stuff. But selling books and CDs, man, I mean, I'm pretty happy getting 20 to 30% monthly sell through rate. So, if I have 1,000 items and I'm selling, let's say 250 a month, 25%, I'm pretty happy with that. Clearly, I'd love to do 50%, but I also want to make money, more money per item, so I don't want to slash prices too much. But everyone does it in different ways. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd love to have no items sitting in the warehouse longer than, let's say, 30 to 60 days. And I send in 100 items, and then within 30 days, 98 of them have sold. I don't know if I've ever done that, but that's just the nature of selling books and CDs, basically. Um, I see there's 5 of us on here. Um, if you guys have comments, let me know. I'm probably gonna make this a short video just because I don't have much else to talk about when it comes to this topic. So I've kind of talked it out here, but yeah, I'd love to have I'd love to see my inventory sell through so quickly that I hardly have much of an inventory level at all. And if everything I sent in was ranked, for books ranked under 10,000, for CDs ranked under 5,000, you know, the rolling rank kind of a deal, I mean, then my sell-through rate would probably be ridiculously high, but I wouldn't find enough items. I certainly know I would find enough items to send in. So I just have to. Yeah, everyone. I mean, yeah. Some people like Robert would rather sell it quickly, turn the money over, get the money back, buy more inventory, build it up that way. Yeah, unless textbooks. And others want to take more time to try to squeeze more money out of each item. And to each his own. Some people are more patient, some people are not, and or not necessarily always patience, but just who whether there is more money to be made on those items. So waiting for a book to sell for 20 bucks versus selling it for $13 to get the money back quicker but make less money. Whatever. I mean, just as a random example, but I kind of like both. I mean, I like to sell through fast, but then certain items I don't mind waiting. But those are usually ones that I know are probably going to take a little bit longer. But even if it's going to take a little bit longer, I still want to be the first sale or try to be the first sale. So I'm more towards selling items faster as well. But yeah, everyone's different. I mean, some people are more. It also depends on the type of inventory you have. If you have faster selling inventory, if you have books, CDs, etc., that sells on average, or that the ranks are much lower, then that's what it is. I mean, I know when I first started, or several years ago, the first guy I met who I got CDs from, bulk CDs, was doing only books, and he wasn't even doing CDs, which is why he was looking for somebody like me to buy them off of him. and he was, I mean, he was staying keeping a pretty tight like sales rank ceiling, I guess. And he had a couple guys, sorting and scanning for him, and he wasn't pulling very many books out of each Gaylord. And when Amazon increased the fees, he couldn't really, he wasn't able to deal with it. So he, I mean, he went out of business, and well, he at least he stopped selling books on Amazon. I'm not sure what he's doing now, but he was selling some other non-book, non-media stuff too. So I'm not sure if he kept selling that or not, but he did stop doing the books. But he was definitely not going into even like forget about long tail books. I don't even think he was going into like medium tails that were going to take a couple months. I think he just wanted the stuff that was going to sell really fast, and just try to turn it over because he was going through a lot of Gaylords between him and his workers, a day. I don't remember exactly how many it was, but he was running 5 days a week, had a warehouse space, and he was going through many Gaylords a day. I don't know if it was 10 or 20 or whatever, but it was a lot. He was getting truckloads, and then he was reselling the duds. Either I think he had a recycler, or he was getting rid of them somehow, but then he was also working with thrift books. And anyway, it was a whole thing, but he just wasn't able to. I guess for him, it didn't work out once the fees went up, and that was probably a lot of people. But he was being pretty picky about the kind of stuff that he was willing to sell. So majority of each Gaylord of books would just end up being recycled. Michael says, do you have any drop in feedback score when you started CDs? Um, when I started, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there was I don't know how long ago it was. I made a video. I made so many videos. I don't know when it was, but it was easily like a year and a half to 2 years ago. The first time that my feedback rating went below 100 because it had been at 100 for like 2 3 years, and then I can't remember the reason though. It was so long ago, but it ended up dropping down, and I was like completely upset about it. But then ended up not really mattering, not really being a big deal. And now it's at, I think right now it's at 97%. But in terms of CDs, I don't know. I've had a couple people leave negative or less than 4 stars for an issue they claimed was a CD, or I mean, an issue that had to do with the CD. Somebody said that the CD was broken and then or cracked when they got it, which it wasn't when I sent it in. But I think someone else complained about the condition of the CD. A few of them I was able to get removed, and some I wasn't. And yeah, so but when it comes to CDs on Amazon, I didn't really see a major difference because it's not, I don't think it's the item. I mean, unless you're dealing with some like really fragile items, unless you're dealing with like only electronics or I don't know, glassware or something really fragile, then you're probably not going to see a big difference. I mean, CDs are more fragile, I guess, because of the jewel case and the disc and whatnot, and if they're manhandled, eh, either being sent into Amazon or in the warehouse, or when they're shipped out by Amazon to the customer, yeah, they could be damaged worse than a book, I guess, if they're smashed up or thrown or dropped or whatever. But yeah, uh, but I haven't seen a big difference. Try to be very careful not to screw them up. What do you mean by screw them up? You mean the C in terms of the CD? Oh, or do you mean feedback rating? I'm not sure what you mean. Um, but even if it's just books, which are harder to, oh, I see. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, well, that's why. I mean, initially for me, before I bought a resurfacing machine, the Eco Pro, I didn't have one for like 2 years doing CDs, and I would just any CD that I saw that had more, that had what significant wear. I'm not talking about like horrible like deep scratches because I know that's probably not going to play, but even ones that just had light little scratches or surface wear, I would test all those. I mean, it was time consuming. I wouldn't listen to the whole thing, but I would go through each track, in the beginning, middle, end, kind of a thing, and and if it played, sometimes I would find mostly I would hardly ever find one that would play, but sometimes I would. And there's not that many CDs in general that I come across for FBA or merchant fulfilled that that have that much damage, but it's a small percentage. But I would just, if you're unsure whether it's going to play, I would test it or resurface it if you have a machine. If you don't have a machine, just test it. It's worth it just to make sure that nothing's wrong with it because the customer says, oh, it was scratched or whatever, it didn't play. They could leave a negative mark. I mean, they could just return it and then not give you negative feedback. Most Amazon customers don't leave any feedback, so whether it's a CD or a book. But there's always going to be somebody who's going to complain about something, whatever it is, and hopefully you can get the negative feedback removed automatically. But if you can't, it's not the end of the world. I mean, as long as you're not intentionally sending in destroyed books, destroyed CDs, discs, whatever, video games, audiobooks, as long as they're not just trashed and you're pretending or lying about it, then being deceitful, deceptive, then you should be fine in general. There's always going to be, that person, those few people that are going to complain about one little thing or that it wasn't your fault, but they say they got something and it was broken or not working right. And there's only so much you can do. But yeah. I mean, I hear that a fair amount from people that want to start doing either CDs or DVDs or video games or anything that has like a disc, a more fragile component that is that could be scratched or damaged. Which that's the great thing about books is they're pretty straightforward. They're not they're harder to damage when you can't just drop it and then it breaks. I mean, unless you drop it on its spine or something and dent the spine and that type of stuff, but you've got to really, like rip out a page or cut it with scissors or throw it in a puddle or something, get it wet. That's like the worst thing you can do is get it wet. And it's kind of nothing you can do about it. But yeah, books are pretty durable. I mean, someone has to really get angry at a book and just, or if it's in like being delivered through Amazon or in the warehouse, someone's really got to work hard to damage it. Excuse me. Man. Sorry, guys. Someone's got to work pretty hard. With a CD, it's a lot easier. With the jewel case, easy to crack it, harder to crack the CD unless you really mash on it. But yeah, it's definitely, there's a little bit of they're more fragile, and so therefore it's a little bit riskier. But in general, I mean, the good thing and the bad thing about Amazon is that the returns are easy, but then also the customers tend to be pretty ruthless. The ones that leave feedback and we're not happy are a lot of them are gonna leave a negative review, a rating, even though let's say it wasn't your fault, right? Let's say it was you sent it in perfectly fine, the jewel case and the CD, and somehow they ended up getting it and it was crushed and the CD was broken and whatever, and they returned it, but they still complained and they said, oh, it was disappointing and all that stuff, which it is. But a lot of people don't even know that we're selling items on Amazon, so they don't, they don't make the connection between, oh, there's somebody like us by themselves, looking for these things to resell to them, or this person has a business and has a warehouse and buys thousands of them a month, tens of thousands, and then sends them in, whatever. They don't, It doesn't even come into most people's heads. So they what I, my point is that they're not thinking like, oh, I don't want to ruin this person's or make this person's selling career go away or worse or whatever on Amazon. They don't care. It's different on eBay. I mean, eBay people tend to be better about communicating, where they'll send you a message if they get something and it's not working properly. They're saying, oh, I got this. The CD's work and doesn't work right, missing, broken, whatever, whatever. And sometimes they'll be like, oh, do you have a replacement? Or if you don't, can you give me a small refund, whatever, or a partial refund? So I've done partial refunds before. So eBay's a little bit better in that respect. That's the thing about Amazon is the customers, they like have this, get your item fast, and then if it's not up to what you want, you can send it back, get your money. It's all smooth, and then some of them they'll just leave a negative feedback and they don't care. So what are you gonna do? So there's 9 of us on here, guys. If you have any questions or comments about anything about the business, but let me know. Have you guys been? How have your sales been for this month, mostly the last couple weeks, let's say, even this weekend? Have they been normal, below average, above average? Yeah, let me know in the comments or not. But I'd be curious to hear if you guys are seeing sales slow down and whether you're doing books or CDs or other items. My sales were strong for book sales. Yeah, my sales were strong a year ago. But like I said earlier in the video, normal sales for me, cool. Right before Christmas. Yeah, it was for me too. It slowed down a bit. I mean, that's the thing that kind of drives me crazy about Amazon and eBay is eBay's been really slow for me too. And um, you're working on this stuff, you're listing and all that, and then the sales aren't coming in. So it's difficult to have the motivation to continue to work away and list things and send things into Amazon and that type of stuff when the sales are so low. But as long as the sales keep coming in and as long as there's been a longer pattern of good sales, then we got to keep it up. Okay. December sales, let's see. Yeah, December sales were pretty good for me on Amazon. They weren't great, but that's because I didn't focus on Amazon. I didn't have a big inventory. I didn't have nearly as big an inventory this Christmas as I had the previous year. eBay has been slow. Okay. It's not just me. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Sporadic. Yeah, I mean, like I said it earlier in the video, I just feel like for me, which is probably applicable to a lot of people, it's about consistent sourcing and shipping. So source, list, ship, as often as you can. And if you can send a shipment out every week, it's ideal. If you're a one person shop, if you're doing more, then you're going to be shipping out a couple times a week maybe, or a huge shipment a week. But if it's just one person, like me, just be consistent, and then your inventory will grow and you'll see sales because every time you send in a shipment and when it hits the warehouse and goes live, a certain amount of those are going to sell. So you'll see that injection of sales, and then do that every week, every week, every week. And it's just like this, it's kind of like a miracle, like not a miracle, but it's this weird phenomenon where it snowballs. And I'm telling you, I've done it, but I've seen it before and I'm trying to recreate it again with consistent shipments to Amazon to boost my sales. I mean, I had more than I had double the sales in December of 2017 than I had, 2 months ago in December of last year. So, but that was because I had sent in a lot more items. I was focused more on Amazon shipping items in and building up inventory and everything. And I just had a smaller inventory and I didn't ship in as consistently. So that's what happened. But I kind of look at it as like I'm focusing on the fourth quarter, even though my sales will increase and be much better throughout the year as I improve or as I consistently ship in items. But I'm looking towards like, well, how big of a December can I have, let's say, or a January of next year if I grow my inventory from where it is right now, which is as of today 923 items, to let's say if I can have my inventory be over 2,000 by the time December hits, or more, then I should be in a position to sell, hopefully more than double. I mean, what I would like to do is sell 1,000 items in December. That would be awesome. I don't think I've ever done that. So 2017, I did 419 sales. That doesn't go back that far. I don't know what I did the year before, but yeah. So I'm working towards that. But anyway, so guys, there's 6 of you now, 7 of you. It's kind of been going between about 11 or 7 or 6, so 8. A couple people joined. I was just about to end the video. If you guys have questions or comments about the topic or anything else about Amazon, let me know right now. Otherwise, I'm probably going to end the video because I'm going to go and eat and whatnot. So I hope you guys have. I hope the sales, if your sales are not going how you want them, like they are for me, focus on getting out there and sourcing. Whether you're doing cherry picking or whether you're doing bulk or both, just focus on shipping as much as you can, getting those shipments in, repricing when you can, and getting better quality inventory that's going to sell. It's not going to sit there and not sell, because that's the point, is not to have a massive inventory, but to sell through that inventory as quickly as possible. Like Robert said, right? Hopefully that you have zero inventory. I mean, yeah. So let's have higher sell-through rate, which means better quality inventory, a bigger inventory, which means more sales, because you have more to sell, and a larger sell-through rate. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll make another video tomorrow. Get back into the normal swing of things, without there being a holiday, and I'm probably going to continue to work on my eBay stuff here. I have stuff to list on eBay, and I'm going to set up another delivery of Gaylords probably for next week, either 3 or 4. I'm deciding about how many of CDs, and then so I can get out another big shipments out, and get those in. But in the meantime, during this week, I'm also going to do some thrift store shopping, or sourcing. So I'll probably make a few videos about that and see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well. I'll be looking at books and CDs to see what I find. And hopefully within the next week, I'll be able to get out a decent size shipment of books and maybe some CDs from thrift stores. I'll probably try to I know one I'm going to go to, and then maybe I'll try one or two others. There's another one, so I'll probably do at least 2 that I'm thinking of, maybe 2 or 3 more. So I'll go for like 3 or 4 thrift stores, ideally. Just depends on how long it takes me to get through them. Because some thrift stores don't have nearly as much. Some have a lot of books to go through, so we'll see how that goes. But I'll try to get through as many as I can to get a decent shipment in, just to keep my shipments going before I get my next Gaylord shipments. And just keep that rolling. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing in between the Gaylords, is do a little bit of eBay and then continue to source at thrift stores and that type of stuff. So appreciate you guys for watching. There's 3 thumbs up. If anybody else wants to give me a thumbs up, it's really helpful. I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. and leave any comments below for people watching this in the future or live. And yeah, I'll make